Hello, everyone. You're welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast. This is a community for purpose-driven women who desire to live their dreams and aspirations. Our mission is to inspire you to live your dreams one day at a time while serving as a beacon of hope and guidance. We will be addressing various issues related to womanhood. Join me as we explore our journey of life together. I am your host, Women Hamilton. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to another episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. It's great to have you tune in today. Today, we're going to be discussing the topic, the power of resilience. Okay, let me give you a little background about what inspired this episode. So there was a particular day, I and my son were going out. I'd promised to take him out, so he was so excited, was very happy. And on our way to our destination, we experienced a lot of challenges. First, the car developed a fault. And secondly, I think we were stopped on the road by police officers. There was one or two issues. And all that was a discouraging factor for me. So by the time I had to sort out the issue with the car and the issue with the police officers, I was already drained. I was frustrated. I was discouraged. And my son who was at the back was excited. He didn't know what was going on. All he knew was mommy was taking him out and he was excited and he looked forward to going to where we were going to. So after sorting out those issues, the first thing on my mind was to just go back home. I was about telling him that I don't think we can make it today. Let's just go home. But on a second thought, looking at his excitement, I could imagine the disappointment he would have felt if I had to tell him we were no longer going to where we were supposed to go to. So I had to gather some form of courage, strength, positivity, and in turn, resilience, and put myself together and solved whatever issue needed to be solved. And we headed to where we went. And on getting to where we were going to, seeing the excitement on his face, playing with his friends, having fun, I became fulfilled and I was so happy that I didn't give up and I was resilient to still keep pushing. So when we talk about resilience, a lot of things come to mind, and I'll be sharing that with us in today's episode. So we'll be discussing the significance of resilience in our lives as women and how we can cultivate resilience in order to overcome challenging situations. I'll be sharing with you 4 things that I think of when I'm at the verge of giving up and that helps me to stay resilient. We need to understand that life is never a bed of roses and we will definitely face setbacks and obstacles. But the question is, when we encounter this, what do we do and how can we stay resilient? So stay tuned. You're welcome back. So before I go into the 4 things that help me to stay resilient, let's just have a background discussion about what resilience is. When we say resilience, we're talking about the ability to adapt to situations or challenges and bounce back amidst whatever adversity we may have encountered. Also, resilience is the capacity to recover from setbacks, failures, or difficult situations. And when you're resilient, you get to develop a strength and flexibility to face whatever challenge or obstacle comes your way. So the 3 things to remember about resilience is your ability to bounce back, your ability and your capacity to recover, and also to develop strength and flexibility when faced with challenging situations. When we talk about resilience, it could be physical resilience. That's when you're faced with physical challenges, for instance, your health or your well-being, and you have to do things to be able to bounce back to that state. Or it could be emotional resilience, which is what a lot of us go through, where you're emotionally down and you tend to have a negative outlook of things, just like the story I shared at the beginning of this episode. So it could also be cognitive resilience, when you develop an ability to think critically in order to adapt to challenging situations. So when you talk about resilience, you need to think about how you can stay physically strong and healthy, how you can stay emotionally strong and healthy, and how in your mind, mentally, you can stay strong and healthy. Why is it even important to develop resilience as women? The thing is, in life, we would have goals that we want to achieve, or aspirations that we want to accomplish. So when you are resilient, it helps you to stay motivated. It helps you to have a positive outlook towards things. And another thing that resilience does is, when you stay resilient, you will be able to cope with stress. Stress is a normal part of life, but what makes stress challenging for a lot of people is their inability to manage stress in such a way that it doesn't weigh them down. So resilience helps you to cultivate coping mechanisms for stress, and also your ability to take on new challenges and achieve your goals and your aspirations. So when you are not resilient, definitely you won't be able to cope with the challenges that you face generally in life. You will become so overwhelmed, stressed, and if not properly managed, it can progress to anxiety, depression, or other mental issues. In the generation we find ourselves in, the Gen Zs, there's this common word that they say, I cannot come and kill myself, or I'm thinking of my mental health. So a lot of people have not developed coping mechanisms to be able to manage situations that tend to challenge their resilience. So when you develop resilience, you are able to face whatever thing that comes your way. Not that it's going to be easy, but the point is, at the end, you won't give up, and you would find coping mechanisms to be able to actually face head on whatever challenges you will encounter. So now, to the 4 things that help me when I'm at the verge of giving up and to helps me cultivate resilience. I ask myself 4 questions, and the first thing is, what reward awaits me? Like in the instance I gave earlier, when it came to the scenario with my son and all that, first, knowing that I had promised I was going to take him out, and if I didn't keep to my word, next time it will be hard for him to actually trust me to fulfill my promise. So the reward that awaited me in that scenario was, first, I would have stood the integrity of keeping to my words. And secondly, I would have a child who was excited, and I will be fulfilling his wishes based on the promise I had made to him earlier. So when you are in a situation that causes you to feel like giving up and you want to be resilient, ask yourself, what is the end goal in mind? Like now, I'm a Christian. I'm going to use this analogy. When it came to Jesus dying for us on the cross, it wasn't something he wanted to do. Initially, he wanted to do it. But when it came to actually dying on the cross, it was a tough thing, and he had to even pray and say, Father, if it be possible, take this cup away from me. He didn't want to do it. But the word of God says that for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. So it wasn't a pleasant experience. So most times when you go through challenging situations, it's not a pleasant experience. And you are not there because you are enjoying it necessarily, but you are there because of what you want to accomplish at the end of the day. So always have the end goal in mind. Always look at the end goal and let that be what is in your mind's eye. When you see the end, it's just like an athlete. When he's running and is at the starting point, what he's seeing is the finishing line. No matter what others around him are doing, his eyes is at the end, at the finish line. He's not looking at, oh, who is running behind me, who is coming behind me, who is by my side, who is about to overtake me. His own goal is that finish line. I need to get there as soon as possible, and I need to be the first person that hits the finish line. So don't remove your eyes from the end goal. Always ask yourself, what reward awaits me, and go for it. The second thing I ask myself is, how would I feel if I do not achieve this goal? Will I be happy with myself? Will I be sad? Will I feel guilty? Or will I feel indifferent? That guides me. So when I weigh the options and I see that if I do not stay on track and I do not keep pushing and pressing, I will not be able to forgive myself, or I will feel so guilty and feel so bad. I will do everything possible to ensure that I don't have to experience that feeling, because it's going to take time to come out of it. So why don't I put in this energy and effort into pushing and staying resilient and achieving my goal, than giving up, and at the end I have to come back and still battle with that feeling of guilt or sadness or anger. So always ask yourself, how would you feel if you do not achieve your goal? This will serve as a guide and a motivation for you to keep pressing till you get to the end of what your goal is. Another thing I ask myself is, who will lose from my not staying resilient? Or what will I lose from my not staying resilient? I use this as a reference point. Who is my audience? What is my audience? In this case, in the scenario I gave earlier, who will lose from my not staying resilient? My son. My son won't be able to go to where he had been excited to visit and where I had promised to visit him. And what will I have lost by not staying resilient? I would have lost my peace. I would have lost my joy. I would have lost that fulfillment and that confidence that, oh, I can actually promise and fulfill and make him happy. So you need to ask yourself that, what or who would be at a loss if you do not stay resilient? This will serve as a reference point for you. And lastly, I ask myself, who will hold my hand through the process when I'm at the verge of giving up? We need to understand that we are humans. There are so many times that we become so overwhelmed with challenges or with situations, and all that is in our mind is, I can't do it. But for you to keep showing up and to keep doing what you're doing, and to keep pressing even when it feels like it's not making sense, and to stay resilient, you need people that would support you through the process. So even before you encounter situations that will require you being resilient, you need to build a support system around you. If you're listening to me now and you look at your friends and you do not have people who can stand by you through thick and thin and serve as a support system to push you to where you ought to be, then you need to begin to source for those kind of people and build those kind of strong relationships and connections, because the truth is, at a certain point in your life, you would always need those kind of people No man is an island. We need each other to survive. So you have a support system that would help you hold your hand through the process so as not to give up and to stay resilient. I hope this episode has been enlightening and has helped you see the importance of being resilient as a woman. If at all you want to live your dreams and achieve your aspirations, resilience is a key thing that you must have with you. Another thing resilience helps you achieve is it helps you to develop problem-solving skills. If you're not ready to take up new challenges, you will not be able to develop problem-solving skills, and also you will not be able to stay resilient. So resilience is an essential skill that we all need to develop, and it will help us to cope with life's challenges and come out stronger. Always know that at the end of the tunnel, there is a light. But for you to be able to get to the end of the tunnel and the light at the end of the tunnel, you have to keep pushing and you have to stay resilient. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. I hope you were inspired to keep taking steps towards living out your dreams. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to share it with other women and leave us a review on our social media platform, which is in the description box. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel to get notified of new episodes. Till I come your way on our next episode, keep living, keep dreaming. Bye for now.